Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, and welcome back to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button, and more importantly, turn on those notifications. That way you guys get notified when we drop hits like this. On this episode, we're talking about all the trade rumors that the Heat are involved with surrounding Giannis and what's real and what's not before the trade deadline. The Panthers are struggling to keep up with the wild card race as they lost 3 straight games. And the Dolphins made 2 new hirings, and we're going to give you our opinions. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go. It is funny.
How you like the new crib, dog? You like my new crib? You like the fireplace? Oh, it's over
The
here.
crib is awesome. Let me
This
just tell you
fireplace.
that. Congratulations. You need that fireplace right now in Miami-Dade County.
It's cold, dog. That's why I got this crib just for this episode, so I could,
stay warm,
stay
right?
warm.
Fun fact of the day. We saw, John and I, we were playing golf Sunday, and we saw at least 13 lizards getting massacred on the golf course by vultures. Granted, they were all frozen. Yeah. The iguanas were out, dog. Getting murked.
I've seen them in the neighborhood here. In the neighborhood, they're just falling out of trees. It's so cold.
Yeah. It happens, right? When you get 30-degree weather in Miami, kind of strange. Strange. Yeah, you know what's crazier than that? The Heat being involved with Giannis again in trade rumors for, like, it seems the 6th straight year. And by all accounts, right, everybody around the league is buzzing, right? The Heat are one of the finalists, obviously, to pull that trade off. But we've been here before. You know what I mean? And I don't know if this is the time. Granted, this is probably the best, offer that we could put together for Giannis, right, in terms of the package. But I don't know, man. I don't know if we have it. I don't know if it's us, but I don't know if we have enough to pull that trade. I don't know about you, man.
So I don't know, man. It's been so many years now in this, recent Pat Riley era where we're supposed to get a big, signing, either a big free agent or a trade. By now, we should have had Damian Lillard. We should have had KD. I mean, you name it. We've already had the rumor and we've had the hype, and then ultimately the disappointment. I don't know if I'm necessarily even kind of buying into any of this right now because of that history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I need to see something actually happen. I need that official, I guess it would be Shams, tweet, right? Saying that the Miami Heat have traded for Giannis, before I get hype about it, because I've just been let down so many, years in a row now, dog.
Yeah, and it's tough, dog. Like, in this NBA market, you need timing, right? You need assets, you need draft picks, you need cap space. Like, there are a lot more things than just having to be a destination, right? Which worked out for us a lot of times before. The one thing that I will find interesting about this one is that the Heat have actually been one of the better offers out there, right? Golden State's offer is out there, Portland, there's a New York's offer. There's a couple of other offers out there, but none as heavy loaded, let's say, as the Heat, right? And if you're gonna make a move for Giannis, then you're pretty much going balls to the wall and all in on the table, right? Which I think the Heat are pretty much doing, saying we'll give you everybody except for Bam, and we'll figure out the rest of the players you get back, right? Or whether it has to become a 3-team trade or not. But it does put the Heat in a difficult spot, right? Because based off of whether or not this trade happens, right, you got to figure out how to move the rest of the season. If you don't land Giannis, you got to try to move Norman Powell. You got to try to move Wiggins, right? Like, you got to clear some cap space because we know where this team is heading, right? It's heading into a play-in or at best, or 6th seed, right? 7th seed. But it's not going to be one of those teams where we look at it and be like, they can make a run because they have X, Y, Z, or this star is playing well. Not to say that Norman Powell isn't a star, but we know he's not, that experienced at being a star. He doesn't have those quality years. Granted, this is his first year being an all-star in much deserving fashion, right? Never had that achievement in his career, and he gets that with the Heat. It's going to be huge, and it also speaks to the type of player he's been for us this year, right? But if you're talking about a guy who's on the last year of his contract, going to be a free agent in the summer, do you keep him? Do you include him in that trade, right? Do you go get another asset that you can sign somebody in the offseason? I think that he have a lot of questions that they have to answer before Thursday's deadline, bro. And I don't know if it's going to get done.
So what are we looking at in terms of a potential package for Giannis?
So there's two things, right? from what you hear, right, the the best big trade is the Heat, right? Because we're offering Tyler Hero, Jaquez, um, Khalil Ware. Who's the other guy that was mentioned in the trade? Damn it, there was one.
Sounds like half the team.
It's like 4 players, 2 draft picks, and like considerations, right? And that is the best offer that is out there. But it sounds like a lot. Oh, Casper, that's the kid. Casper, the point guard that we drafted just now. But if you think about it, bro, it sounds like a lot, but you're also getting Giannis, right? So, and I heard it on the radio. It's like, until what point do you get to where you're like, oh no, that's way too much for Giannis because this guy right here is going to turn into a star. That hardly ever happens, especially here in Miami, right? Where we give the opportunity to the player and they excel into something other than what we expected. Not to say that Hero's not a good player or Hawkins isn't a good player or that Khalil Ware and Casper haven't shown promise, but they have, right? Pell Larson is another one. Pella Larson, he's another one who showed promise, but none of those guys are bona fide superstars. They're never going to pan out to that, right? Because if not, we would have seen it and we would have been like, hey, this guy's untouchable. So that alone lets you know that it's easier, to get rid of those guys on the cusp of what you're getting in return. You're getting a guy who's automatically going to put you in contention for titles, going to be able to bring more stars, probably a better guy to work with in terms of locker room, behind the scenes, with the coaching staff, management, as opposed to Jimmy Butler, the guy who was last here. Like, this is an obvious upgrade in so many different venues, lanes, whatever you want to call it, that I can see the Heat going all in. And that's why I think their offer makes them the most intriguing one, right? Giving up the 4 players or 5 players, depending on who you're listening to, and the 2 draft picks, because that's what Milwaukee wants, right? They want cap space. They want to be able to have some assets to move to draft in the future. So let's see how that works out for them. The only thing, right, that in my opinion holds these guys back is the unknown, right? And it's unknown if Giannis is going to even say yes, right? And say, I want to go to this team, or I want to go to the Heat, I want to go to Golden State, I want to do this. We know that the writing's on the wall. He's definitely not going to be there next year, but I don't know if it forces Milwaukee to make a trade right now. You know what I mean? Like, they're not in a place where they have to trade him right now. If they want to, they can, right? Or they can just spend the next 3 months going through the shit that they've been going through and biting the bullet in the summer. So, but something interesting that I was just reading on, Terry Rozier's contract situation. He won his salary, his dispute against the NBA because they weren't paying him since he was suspended for the thing, gambling and all that stuff that hasn't been resolved yet. But that's also an indicator that something could potentially happen in that trade where his contract, right, is tradable. And the NBA says, all right, if the Heat have to pay this guy out, right, if the NBA, quote unquote, is paying this guy out for the games that he's missing, then the Heat can be enticed to do something with it, or it's allowed to do something with it. So that might just be something else, right? That swings the Giannis trade, right? Because his is an expiring contract. That means that you can probably include Rozier's contract and keep out a Pella Larson, a Khalil Ware, or a Hawkins, one of those 3 guys. It won't be both because they're going to need a mixture of youth and players that they can get like right now, like Norman Powell. But it's going to be interesting. Andrew Wiggins is another candidate. There's a lot that Milwaukee could choose from that other teams do not have. It's just point blank. They don't have. Golden State doesn't have it. Houston doesn't have it. New York doesn't have it. So Thursday is going to be interesting, man, if the Heat are able to pull it off.
Do you expect a backup plan? Like, if we don't go for Giannis, like, is there something else that we go after if that doesn't, come to fruition?
In my opinion, I don't think there is a backup plan, right? Because if not, then you just go into the summer and you know that you got a lot of moves that you can make then, and you're a little bit in a better position as far as the negotiating table is concerned, right? So are the Heat hard pressed to make this move, right? No, because right now we're not even a contender, right? We're in the seventh spot, a game and a half behind Chicago or Philadelphia, excuse me. Orlando's right on our ass. We know how they play us, right? So does it need to happen for the Heat? No, right? Because the Heat are not close to winning a championship, or this team isn't built like that right now. But if you're talking about getting the best player when you can, it has to be right now, because the moment you get to the summer, people are going to make moves. Cap space opens up, right? They add more cap, players' contracts expire. So it make the pool becomes a little bit larger. Right now, the Heat are definitely the big fish in the small pond when it comes to the Giannis trade.
I hope it happens, man. I would like for it to happen. Something's got to change. You know what I mean? We've had the same core for the last few years and haven't had much success. So something's got to give.
And there's just been way too much inconsistency in this Heat season, right? Like we saw them have a good start, but then we saw them come back to earth, and then it's just been a lot of win, loss, 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 win, win, loss, loss, and the action on the court hasn't been consistent at all, right? Throughout the entire roster. So that's why I feel like the Heat are open, right, to making those moves. They got some tough games coming up, but winnable games, right? Atlanta, Boston, Washington, Utah. Not necessarily great teams or teams that are playing good basketball right now. So why not go out there and pull a run, right? Get those values up. But it all depends on what happens Thursday and if the Heat are able to make that trade, right? Because then it really answers a lot of questions as to how they're going to treat the summer, right? And what
Right.
moves can they make, right? So that's going to be what we look forward to with this Heat team in the next couple of days. Hopefully they win this game on Tuesday while you guys are watching this against Atlanta, 7:30, and then before we play Boston on Friday, Giannis might be in a Heat uniform. So, or it might be Heroes, return to the Heat, right? He's been out a couple of games, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I want to touch on the Panthers, bro, because the last time we spoke about them, they were kind of picking up their mojo. You know what I mean? They were starting to get some guys back from the injury list, and it just hasn't gone their way, dog. It just not like they go on the win streak, losing streak. They'll win a good tough game against a tough opponent, lose two bad games against two bad teams, and we when we talk about inconsistent teams like the Heat, the Panthers have been inconsistent. Now, granted, they have a lot more reasons, right? Kachuk missed a good chunk of the year. He's just getting his lungs back, right? Barkov's been out the entire year. That's the captain, the leader, the everything of this Florida Panthers team, right? We've had to go weeks without Marchand. We've had to go weeks or days without Big Bob in that. Like everything that the Panthers had won in these past 3, 4, 5 years, they're kind of paying the price for it now, right? Because the injuries are starting to stack up, the fatigue is starting to be a little bit more worrisome, and they're just not able to put results together as often as they could in previous years, dog. And for them to be, again, like in this past 2.5 years, how many times did we see this Panthers team go on a losing streak, Joel?
Very few. I mean,
Very
that was
few.
something that we always kind of said. The Panthers, even if they were down, that was the time to kind of press and really get into the game because they were the cardiac cats that were going to come back. So it wasn't many, and not as much as this year. You can definitely feel the hangover this year.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. And it was expected, right? Let's be honest. It's hard to keep that level up in professional sports,
Yeah,
regardless of the sport, right? But they're really at risk of fatigue and that hangover feeling really getting the best of them. Like if they lose tonight against Buffalo, that would be their fourth straight loss, right? And that would be the third time this season that they suffer four straight losses. Again, something that is extremely unprecedented within Panthers culture, right? Like they don't lose four games in a row that often, right? Or ever.
right.
So it just goes to show you how much, being healthy and being available matters to this team. Now, granted, they did make some pickups throughout the year. Last year, Seth Jones, he's been playing well. But when you're missing your main guys, your captains and shit, like it's hard to get up for every single game. It's hard to go out there and battle for 90 plus minutes every single night, battering each other on the ice. Especially when you got a target on your back. And let's be honest, it feels like every time the Panthers are playing another team, that team is like acting like it's a fucking game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Like,
Yeah,
hey, relax. It's game 62. We still got 40 more or 30 more. Like, but those teams don't have that. They see the target, they see us as champions, and they want to have that feeling of knocking off the champs, or at least gauging how good they are, right, by playing against us at a high level. Because not every team in the NHL can do that, but they know they can expect that from the Panthers. It just sucks because like you and I have been real big Panther supporters. We knew that this was going to happen eventually, right? There was going to be a little bit of a fall off because it's just hard, man. It's hard to win that often in the NHL like that.
what position are we in right now? Like, where are we in the standings?
Oh, Papa, you don't want to know, man. So I was looking at the
We're
standings
not even in the
yesterday.
mix right now.
Bro, we're like, I'll tell you right now. So in the wild card, which is what we're closest to, right? We're
So I don't like how you started
8
that
points.
sentence.
8 points off of that, right? We're not even close to the Atlantic to winning the division, right? Because Tampa Bay, Detroit, and Montreal are really dominating this season. You know, Tampa Bay's on 74 points, Detroit's on 70 points.
Bro, did I see
And
Tampa Bay the other day? These cocky motherfuckers they came in wearing the Bucks uniform and they had
yeah,
Baker
so
Mayfield escorting them.
they did like a because they supported Tampa Bay on their playoff game. So all the guys from Tampa Bay went out there the day before or whatever, hype them up, gave them
This ain't a
jerseys.
playoff game. We're in the
I
regular
know
season.
that.
What are we talking about?
Hey man, Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay, dog. I'm not making excuses for
Boys is
those guys.
extra, but that shit gets me so
Losers.
hot.
It was weird, right? But they did win a big, cool game. You know, they had an outdoor game like we did down here the other day, and they ended up coming back. But Tampa Bay's been on fire. You know, they got 35 wins on the season. Detroit 32 wins on the season. So we're in our own conference and division. There are teams that are playing consistent hockey. You know, one thing that we used to brag about with the Panthers is their home record, right? And they've always been able to really outshine their opponents at home and you know reach another level. This year's been the complete opposite for a myriad of reasons, right? But when you're 14, 12, and 3 at home, you can't expect that you're going to have a lot of successes in the NHL, right? Or you're going to be able to compete with the Tampa Bays, Detroit, the New Yorks, the Bostons, like it's going Carolina, right? Like all these teams are constantly improving, right? Just like we are. So the competition getting better, and if you're not up to that challenge of defending home ice, it's going to be tough. I'll tell you right now. Look, Tampa Bay 16-9 at home. Detroit 18-10 at home. Montreal 16. Boston 21 wins at home. That's how you get to those upper echelons level spaces, right? Because we used to see it ourselves.
That's what we were used to. That's what we're
Right.
used to, is being, phenomenal at home. Now it's a coin flip whether or not they're gonna show out.
Yeah, and it's really hurt us. You know, it's really hurt the Panthers and what they are like gonna be able to achieve this year. But I think that they're obviously I know that they're not giving up. We talked about it, the wild card, while it may be a lot of points, right? 59 to 60 to 67 is a lot, it's 8 points. However, if there's a team that can put a run together, it's the Panthers, right? If there's a team that can find a different gear, right, in order just to say, hey, fuck it, we made the playoffs, right? Because this is our standard. It's the Panthers. Whether they sneak in there or don't, or just make it from being the top 3 teams in the conference, they can do it. It's not insurmountable. What needs to change is availability and consistency on the ice, and that's going to be tough because they have the Olympics coming up in the next couple of weeks. A lot of guys, not only from the Panthers, but a lot of guys are going to be heading over to the Olympics to play for the countries. Main guy for us is Kachuk. We just got that guy back, and now he's out to go play for Team USA, right? As a Patriot, you feel great for that, but as a Panthers fan, you're like, why don't you just stay here a couple of weeks and play, right? You can forget about that stuff later. But, it's really hard to fault the man for going out there and trying to win some gold. So it's going to be tough, but it is manageable, right? Because everybody in the NHL is playing under the same conditions. Everybody's going to lose a lot of players to the Olympics. It is what it is. You got to figure it out. Thankfully, we have enough talent on our team to figure it out. I just hope that they can do it because I would really love to see this team in the playoffs as their standard.
Yeah, we just need a seat at the table. If you follow the Panthers for the last 5-6 years, just give them a seat at the table and see what happens.
Yeah. Let's see, bro. It should be interesting, right? It's going to be cool to see if the Panthers can win tonight. I'm going to be checking it out after we record it, and we're going to go from there. But yeah, man. Panthers struggling. They need help.
Yeah, sounds like South Florida sports are on the struggle bus right now, my friend.
They need some help. We
used to have the Heat to be like, hey, at least we got the Heat, and then that stopped happening, and then we've been hanging our hat on the Panthers for the last few years.
Heavy.
And now they're starting to struggle, but it's kind of warranted. It's like, all right, they've had the success, like they're correcting now, coming back down. But damn, man, it sucks to not have anything to root for. The Hurricanes lost. I know Honorable mentioned that later.
Yeah. But since you're on the topic of football, let's talk about the Dolphins, right? Our favorite football team in the whole wide world that gets us super excited. Yeah, they hired a head coach. They hired a GM first, and they're both Packer guys. Now, the GM, John Eric Sullivan, he came in highly regarded, right? Because he had been an assistant in the Packers system. I think he was like a VP to player personnel. So this dude was definitely climbing the ranks of the management office in the NFL and doing it at a really good franchise, right? In the NFL, historic franchise that has produced a ton of talent, especially at the quarterback position, right? So having a guy who comes from that type of background, that type of knowledge, that type of wherewithal on how to put the system in place to find talent is really, really, really inspiring, right? However, the one thing that they said, and him specifically, was that they will continue to draft quarterbacks from the first day that they're in office until they're no longer there. And as good as it sounds, they really have to commit to that, right? Because time and time again, we haven't put enough emphasis in that position, thinking that we have an answer, right? Without doing our due diligence of always having a backup for the future. And even if it's not in the immediate future, you trade them, you get some picks, and you draft another one because that guy might be the guy in 2 years, 3 years. I was gonna go through the list of quarterbacks that these guys have put in since the time that John Eric Sullivan was involved with the Packers and who they brought up, but I just got to name three of these guys, right? One of them is Brett Favre, Hall of Famer. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Famer. Gonna be there as soon as he's done playing football. And their current quarterback, who's also shown real freaking signs of being a baller, Jordan Love. And just those three names alone is like, yeah, all three of those guys are will outshine Tua any day of the week. Why? Because they all do things that Tua couldn't do. So for me, back to it, finding the quarterback being their main objective really inspired me. It made me believe in them a little bit. But until they prove it, right, and go out there and do it consistently, then I'm just gonna hold reservation. Same thing with the coach, Jeff Hafley. I'm not gonna say anything bad about the guy, but I'm also really can't say anything good about him, right? Because you have to show me that you can bring in that culture that you have from the Packers experience and bring it and implement it into something that the Dolphins can absorb. We've seen it plenty of times, different coaches, different, right, coming in here with a different mentality, different trying to change whatever's happening in the locker room with zero success, or very minimum success for minimal periods of time. This guy has the hardest job of them all because Jeff's job is not only to put the players together to try to win some football games, right, without having a quarterback, because technically right now we don't have a quarterback. His real job is going to be changing the mindset and the culture in the locker room, and I don't know if he can do that, dog. It's such a tall task.
Why do you say that though?
Well, Joel, think about it, bro. Like all the things that have happened in the past 2 years, right? The shit with Mike McDaniels flying players and people showing up late. Tyreek Hill going out there, saying things left and right in the media. Some people not talking in the media, right? Jalen Waddle or stuff like that. So it's always been an issue of like there's a softness, there's a happy-go-lucky vibe in that building. It's not necessarily a job, right? Or a place where you go and you know that shit is expected of you, regardless of what's happening in or around your life. So I think that that's his biggest job, right? Like coming in and changing that culture to say, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to be a team that does serious. We take our practice serious. We take our meeting serious. We take our, media relations serious. We do everything as a serious organization. Because it's seriously lacking, if we're being honest, right? Like how many times have we seen things fall apart, whether in the office or in upper management, trades not going through, issues with agents, issues with players, a bunch.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the results on the field haven't warranted anything to be like, oh, we can accept this.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think that's part of the reason precisely why they brought these guys in, both of them. Obviously, you know how that works. GM going to bring in their own head coach and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Green Bay Packers, front office, their organization. That's a football team. I know the Cowboys get the tag of America's football team, but I'm much more of a Packers guy myself. And I think those guys have a good pedigree. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we'll see pretty immediate returns with these guys. But You mentioned not having a quarterback, it's kind of the missing piece. There's rumors of another Packer coming down with these guys in the
Yeah.
current backup quarterback, Malik Willis. And I know I'm a fan. From the little bit that I've seen from the kid, I think he's enough of a star. At least has enough ability and athleticism to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I wanted to see what you thought, if that's maybe a route that you want to see the Dolphins go, or if you want to see them draft somebody fresh.
Let's be honest, it's gonna happen, right? Depending on the price tag, right? As long as it's not real expensive, it's gonna happen. Why? Because you want to go where you're familiar with who's running the show and what's happening, right? Especially for a good opportunity to become a potential starting quarterback for a team that needs one, right? But I think that the thing that you and I would probably appreciate the most, Jay, is like just bringing competition, right? Like we never brought in like real competition for Tua. It was always like, oh, this is the seventh round pick. Oh, this is the guy who's like on his last legs. It's never been an actual competition of like, yo, this guy's a real threat to your job. You know what I mean? And I think that that position needs that, right? And if you're talking about Quinn Ewers, a guy that we brought in, why not go get a Malik Willis to put next to him and say, oh, you guys battle it out and see what happens, right? And if we need to, we'll bring in a veteran to battle it out with you guys too, right? But the point of the idea at quarterback should be to sharpen that position with other players in that position that are also sharp, right? You just don't have one running back. You just don't have two receivers. You have a myriad of those guys. Why? Because you need those guys to keep pushing each other. You can't have your starting quarterback get comfortable. And I think Tua did get comfortable here. Granted, because there was nothing really behind him to threaten him, right? I think that if the new GM and head coach are going to do the job correctly, then they have to make that position a competition. And you bring in good competition. Malik Willis has started games, won games, has shown that athleticism that you talked about, right? Where he extends the plays, runs, can throw down the field while running, right? Slide, can take a hit if he needs to. He's not a huge guy, right? But those things that I just said and we just talked about help him become a better quarterback, a more dangerous quarterback, a more threatening quarterback. So that's why I'm okay with them bringing him in as long as it's the right price, because I want to see the competition in that position. Like I said, I would love for them to bring in Malik Willis, keep Ewers there, right? Go ahead and trade Tua for whatever you can get for him, and sign a veteran quarterback. Go sign a veteran quarterback that was a backup that played games and bring him in to seriously compete. Because if he can beat Malik Willis and he can beat Quinn Ewers, then we know we have to dive in deeper into that position, right? And there's only one way to know that, by putting those guys up against each other. And that's why I think that's their biggest job this year, changing that culture and figuring out what to do with that quarterback position. But I would like it if they did bring in Malik Willis to compete, right? Because like I said, he has NFL experience. He knows what it takes to lead a team. He knows how to win games. He's lost a couple of games. So I don't see how having him here would hurt. I think it would just elevate the QB room, right? And that's what we need to continue to do. Elevate it, elevate it, elevate it, elevate it until it becomes the best in the NFL. Until we're there, keep bringing guys in. And I think that we should bring in Malik.
I like it. I hope so. I hope we do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It would be the right thing to do, to be honest. It would be the right thing to do, right? Give that guy a shot because you drafted him, you found him. Like, they obviously know him well and they kind of believe in what he can do. So why not see it here in a Dolphins uniform, right? Give the guy a shot. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with the Dolphins and the trade and the draft. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about there. That's going to be a long episode strictly for them. It's come to that point of the show, right, where we have to give the biggest flowers that we can to the Miami Hurricanes football program for their 2024-2025 season. Bro, what a freaking exciting ride from beginning to end. Beating number 2 Notre Dame first game of the season and just seeing like what the possibilities were, going undefeated, having those 2 heartbreaking losses, coming back, right? Making that run in the college playoff after sneaking in there. It honestly was a fairy tale type of season for the Hurricanes, bro. And I'm glad we got to experience it because it had been missing for a real long time, man. We've gotten so close so many times, and this team was finally able to like punch through the wall and get to that promised land of college playoff. and really show what the U is about, man. You know, Cristobal and his boys, man, they got something serious down here. We saw that they got the QB from Duke, Mensa, right, who was playing in the ACC championship game and won it. They also snagged the number one wide receiver from Duke and bring that guy in. So like, we just made this team even more potent offensively, and we're still getting guys to transfer in from the defensive line. That's going to be improved. Offensive line got another amazing transfer in. So we really have to credit Mario, man, and his staff and the entire football program, from Mario all the way down to the scouts, even to the guys on the radio, Vic, and everything he's done for us on the program and he does for the Hurricanes. Fans as well for the radio portion of it. It's amazing what happened this year, man, and I couldn't be more happy for those guys.
Oh, I'm super proud of that group, man. That was hell of a season. I know I gave them shit with those 2 losses just because I felt like they were so much
Yeah,
better than that, man. You
deserved,
know, just
deserved.
they really could have had. I mean, not to say that would have changed anything, but you know, I don't know that would have gave me more belief that like, okay, the U is back, you know, and it just was a little delayed. They did it during the playoff run, which was incredible. And then, man, that national championship game, shout out to Indiana, shout out to Mendoza and that whole group, man. They played a hell of a game. They
What a
both did,
team.
both sides. And it came down to one play for me. I don't know, you know, what you would say or what they would say, but the block punt turned to a touchdown is really what it came down to. Besides that, the Hurricanes played great. You can't really put it on back at the end there with that interception, you know, when they're trying to
Yeah.
score. But amazing season, you know, beginning to end. I can't believe the Hurricanes still haven't won an ACC. They almost won a national championship before they won the ACC, which would have been wild, but you know, they haven't yet. So hopefully we can repeat next year.
I'm sorry, you froze up there. Hopefully they can repeat next year. That's what Joel was saying. My bad, you froze up there.
I'm sorry, yeah, I froze up a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. You were saying hopefully they repeat next year and can move on forward into the ACC and actually make a run into that. And I think that's the next checklist that Mario has, right? Especially knowing that he got the quarterback in from Duke, the wide receiver Malachi Tony coming back for his second year. Fletcher might be coming back. He's still undecided. Like, you know, we still got Brown coming back. Like, this team is loaded. It's ready to compete for big trophies. And I think we witnessed the beginning of the Hurricanes being back, right? Like, people always wondered, oh, can you say the U is back? Can you say now you can most definitely say it, the U is back and they deserve it. So shout out to Mario Cristobal, his entire staff, all the men that played on that staff, the women and men that helped them compete this season, and the, you know, the trainers, the guys carrying the luggage, the bus drivers, the plane, the guy fixing the food, all that stuff, man. All those people really contributed to this wonderful season that we enjoyed as Hurricanes fan, and I can't wait to do it again in 2025, 2026. Well, yeah, 2026 season, right? Yeah.
Already February, big dog. It'll be here in
Yeah,
no
it's
time.
crazy because we're flying through this, man. We got Super Bowl on Sunday, or the quote unquote the big game. We can wrap it up with that, Jay. Who you got, Patriots or the Seahawks, though?
Come on, son. Come on, son. I ain't rooting. I got respect for them. Hey, good job, but no.
Way to get there.
Nah.
Yeah.
Let's go Seahawks. I'm all Seahawks all day.
Yeah, I feel you, dog. And like, in my opinion, I think the Seahawks should be favored, right? I just don't think that line is the right line. 4.5 points in the Super Bowl, that's a lot. You're talking about a gritty Patriots team. And Super Bowls always happen some weird shit, man. You know, you can't count the Patriots out when they're in the Super Bowl, bro.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be hard, right? It's gonna be a good game.
It's gonna be interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots pulled it off. I'm just going to say that. Bet however you want. Just make sure to send the funds to sportswithsoso@gmail.com. When you hit, and whether you hit Joel's picks or my picks, just send us the cash. Nah, I'm kidding, y'all. I'm kidding.
My picks are just purely out of hate. I just don't. They can't. Like, they can't. They were bad for like a season and a half, dog.
Yeah, it would suck to see those guys bounce back and fucking win a Super Bowl that quick.
In the post Tom Brady Belichick era, bro. Like,
no,
come on, man. No, hell no.
Let's go Seahawks. Bet the 4.5 line spread. Let's go Birds, baby. Let's go Birds, man. Well, we appreciate y'all rocking with us as always. I know Joel and I took a little leave of absence. Got a lot of stuff happening on both of our lives, but we're back. We're back to business. You got the episode. Let's see what happens on Thursday with the trade deadline. And if it happens, you know your boy Sports with SoSo is going to bring it to you live with the reaction. You know what to do. You got to tell a friend,
To tell a friend,
to tell another friend,
to tell everybody they know.
to tell everybody you know and they know and their mama knows about this podcast. All right. Make sure to hit that follow, like, and subscribe button. And until next time, for Joel, it's your boy SoSo. Peace.